Hi friends, Grace here. Welcome to another presentation, which is a follow-on from our last presentation. And in our last presentation, we spoke about Ganoune Diop, who is the Director in the General Conference of Public Affairs and Religious Liberty. And last month, Ganoune Diop wrote an article basically defending his work in relation to bridging the gap between us and the Catholic Church. He describes his work just as mingling and believes it's Christ-centered in terms of just talking to others and, just talking about, what's going on and their different beliefs. But in the last video that I did, I showed that it's a lot more to it than meets the eyes. It's not just talking or mingling. As he describes it, they are actually worshipping in the same throne, where Adventist pastors are now partaking in Catholic ceremonies, which is dangerous. And we as Seventh-day Adventists, if we know our heritage, we are called to protest Rome, to proclaim the three angels' message, which is to call people out of Babylon, to be separate, not join them because their worship is idolatry. They claim to be above the Bible. They say they can change laws. And Bible prophecy tells us that when the time is right, they will persecute those who keep the commandments of God and have the faith of Jesus. So this is the war that's going on. But sadly enough, Ganoune and many others fail to see this. But now it's become very clear why Ganoune cannot see this. And I want to draw your attention to an article that someone sent me. This is a blog on the website, on the internet. They call themselves Advent Messengers. I don't know who they are. I've never met them before. But I thought this article was extremely interesting and you need to read it. So the title of the article, the blog says, "Connecting the Dots to Rome, Ganoune Diop is a PhD candidate at a Roman Catholic seminary." So in other words, Ganoune wasn't being honest with us in that article. He is actually studying with the cardinals in Rome. In fact, he got his PhD from a Catholic church whose honour is to the Holy See, i.e. the Pope. So there's a lot more to it than meets the eye. And it explains why Ganoune is so angry at us who protest his work, saying it's wrong, because there is another agenda going on here, and you must see this because it's so serious. So I'm going to read passages from the blog. I advise you to read it yourself. I'll post a link below to this blog. But this is what the author says. He states, "It turns out that Ganoune Diop conveniently forgot to mention to the global readership of the Adventist Review that he is currently completing a PhD degree at a Roman Catholic seminary. So while Diop was defending the church's interfaith relationship with Rome, and while he was attacking Seventh-day Adventists for questioning those relationships, Diop failed to disclose a major personal conflict of interest. This personal conflict of interest compromises him and calls into question whether his report in the Adventist Review was even objective. At a minimum, Ganoune Diop gave an appearance of impropriety by attacking Seventh-day Adventists who oppose interfaith relationships with Rome, while at the same time being a member of a Roman Catholic school community. For this, he should apologize." So Diop wasn't being honest with us. He's attacking us Seventh-day Adventists for speaking out against his work, when the reality is he is under the Roman Catholic Church. So of course he's going to defend them if he's going to their schools. So he should have made this clear that this is his agenda. This is what he is doing, that he's a student under Rome. That way things become more clearer to us. We know what we're dealing with. But he doesn't want to disclose this. Why? Because many of us who know this would actually protest further, because there is indeed a conflict of interest. Anyway, the article continues. "Another possible scenario is that Ganoune Diop purposely misread the readers of Adventist Review when he argued that we need to mingle with the leaders of other churches, when in fact Diop is currently in a teacher-student relationship at a Roman Catholic seminary. This is not mingling, this is nurturing. Diop is a pupil and is being trained, disciplined and indoctrinated by the agents of Rome. This makes his report in Adventist Review dishonest, biased and unfair. It makes his attack against faithful Seventh-day Adventists repugnant and scandalous. He ought to do the honourable thing and apologise. Then he should resign. And I couldn't agree more. Someone like Diop, who is under the Roman Catholic Church, should not be a director within the Seventh-day Adventist Church, especially in regards to ecumenism, public relations and religious liberties. There is indeed a conflict of interest. And I'm calling all the faithful Seventh-day Adventists to write letters to General Conference regarding this, requesting that he resigns. Excuse me. I believe I am still a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I don't think I've been disfellowshipped yet. I don't know. But as a member of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, I'm calling for Ganoune to resign. I don't think that's right. That goes against everything our pioneers stood for. It goes against everything the Prophet Ellen White spoke about in regards to the Adventist Church, that we actually have Catholics leading positions in our churches. That's not right. They are going to lead us to Rome. He should resign. He has no place in leadership in the Adventist Church. Anyway, the article continues. Conflicts of interest, appearances of impropriety and unjust attacks in our publications give rise to suspicion and a loss of confidence. It is best to avoid these situations altogether. Those who work at the General Conference are not a law unto themselves. They work for the worldwide church and they are supposed to be servants of the people. Or maybe the plan is to sweep all this under the rug and hope that in time people will forget. It turns out that Ganoune Diop has a lot more in common with Rome than he is willing to disclose. Diop has a special connection with the top Roman Catholic cardinals in the Catholic Church. Catholic cardinals such as Alfred Bajert, sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Cardinal Christophe Schomburn, Cardinal Frank Rode, Cardinal George Alenchery, and Cardinal Andre Vinge-Choice. What common ground and shared interest does Ganoune Diop have with these top agents of Rome? They are all cut from the same cloth. Diop is attending the same Roman Catholic seminary that prominent leaders in Rome have already gone through. This is undoubtedly a very serious situation when some of the highest leaders of both the Roman Catholic Church and the Seventh-day Adventist churches are products of the same theological institution. To be frank, Ganoune Diop is currently gaining more wisdom and knowledge to use in denominational employment for his work at the General Conference. He is being trained to help with church ministry, and the education is coming from the same school where prominent Roman Catholic theologians and leaders are being taught by Rome. This is why many people don't want to pay their tithes to General Conference. It's because they are seeing these things happening. This is why many others are now joining offshoots, because they see what's going on in the Roman Catholic, because they see what's going on within the General Conference leadership. There's going to be a lot of blood on their hands when Christ comes, because this is serious. This is just crazy. I can't believe what I'm reading at the moment. It continues. Ganoune Diop has earned a PhD from the Institut Catholique de Paris, that's a Catholic University of Paris. This means that he has completed all his coursework classes and examinations and is currently working on his thesis dissertation at this Roman Catholic institution. This is not any ordinary Catholic institution. It is a university that prides itself in providing training which meets the academic standards of the Holy See. So not even the Bible, it's the Holy See who is the Pope. So they are pushing the agenda of the Pope. So it makes sense why you see Ganoune Diop at all these ecumenical movements, shaking hands with the Pope, smiling together in their worship styles. This is not an Adventist. This is a wolf in sheep clothing. This is Balaam all over again. And he is an agent of Rome being used to destroy the Seventh-day Adventist Church, to destroy our heritage. This is dangerous, and you need to wake up, friends. The article continues. There are two sources that confirm Ganoune Diop's affiliation with the Catholic University of Paris. One comes from a Seventh-day Adventist source. So here you see the example, Ganoune Diop, Institute of the Catholic Church, PhD, that's where he got it from. Another source, it tells us he earned a PhD in New Testament studies with a focus on apocalyptic literature at the Catholic University of Paris. And they are so bold in this. This is a joke. This is just a joke, friends. This is like, I can't even describe this. Anyway, the article continues. The top Roman Catholic cardinals mentioned above have also studied at the very same university. Are we supposed to imagine that when our church leaders attend Roman Catholic seminaries certified by the Holy See, that they will acquire a greater love and appreciation for the three angels' messages? On the contrary, Rome's theological schools have two primary objectives: to undo all that Protestantism has done, to regain its lost supremacy through the time-serving concessions of the so-called Protestant world. And friends, this is no coincidence while all of this is happening together. You've got Kanye West pushing the Sunday services. You've got Greta Thunberg pushing the climate change whole agenda under the papacy. We see our churches no longer protesting Rome, but rather joining in their pagan ceremonies. We see our church dead, lifeless, people leaving. It's full of the elderly now, no offense, but the young people see the hypocrisy, see there's nothing different from us in the world, so they go back into the world. The Roman Catholic Church is pushing this agenda, and they are doing it so well that many are beguiled by this. They are trying to undo Protestantism so that we no longer protest Rome. And sadly, the majority are falling for it. Friends, it's time for us to no longer sit down and be quiet, but to stand up and protest Rome and to protest Ganoune's resignation, because he is not fit to be leading the Seventh-day Adventist Church in public relations, because there is a conflict of interest. Our message is to protest Rome. It's to preach the three angels' messages, to call people out of Babylon. And according to Revelation 17, Rome is Babylon. Her daughters apostate Protestantism, when they rejected the first and second angels' messages in 1844, they became the daughters of Rome. Read the Great Controversy, read early writings, read the Bible. This is all clear. Confusion. We are losing our distinctiveness, our uniqueness. Why? Because we have men such as Ganoune, whose primal agenda is to destroy what we stand for. Friends, it's serious. We need to protest. It continues. Why are we getting trained by institutions that repudiate the fundamental principles of Adventism? Do we not see the enormous risk we take when we appoint men into positions of trust that were trained by the enemies of present truth? No course is ever without an effect when the SDA leaders are trained with the academic standards of the Holy Sees. These decisions have a profound effect upon God's people as a whole. And there are some who have been securing this worldly education, it's a quote from Ellen White, think that they can introduce it into our schools. But let me tell you that you must not take what the world calls the higher education and bring it into our schools and sanitariums and churches. We need to understand these things. I speak to you definitely, this must not be done. So they have gone against the prophet of Ellen White, the founder, one of the leading founders of the church, ordained by the Lord, the Holy Spirit. And they are doing what they want. Anyway, she prophesied this anyway. She warned us that it's going to be the men in leading position that's going to try and destroy the Seventh-day Adventist Church. And this just confirms even further that she is a prophet, because boy, are we seeing this today. Friends, we need to get ready. The article continues. What good is accomplished when leaders are nurtured or trained by institutions that applaud tradition, philosophy, and the changing of God's commandments? What can a school of theology owned by Rome teach God's people? What messages can we hope to learn from them? If not to abandon our unique calling and witness, abandon the commandments of God, recant the distinguishing truths of the faith, and return with them to Babylon? And that's the vision Ellen White said that she had in early writings, where she saw that enemies of present truth are seeking to open the door that the Lord shut. In other words, open the door back to the holy apartment and bring the church back into Babylon, and not into the most holy place where we see the law of God, we see the health message, we learn that the dead know not anything. They are trying to destroy these truths and bring us back to them. It continues. This is precisely what we have been seeing during the last 60 years. In reality, it is not higher education that church leaders are learning in Roman Catholic seminaries. Actually, it is lower education that leads to a departure from our historic beliefs and values. So friends, I urge you to continue reading the article. He got all the sources down and, check it out, do your research. But it's pretty clear our church, unfortunately, the leadership is and has been infiltrated by the Jesuits in Rome. Rome is doing the marvelous work, I can't deny it, in beguiling the people of God. It's so sad. It's heartbreaking, actually. It breaks my heart when I go into many Adventist churches and I hear the messages that are being promoted. I look at what they are eating, just no different from Babylon. It grieves my heart where we are heading to, and why many people will be lost because of these men. Friends, we have a high and holy calling. So please, I ask you to cry aloud and weep before the altar and porch. Cry aloud unto the Lord, because we need his presence. I need his presence like never before. These are serious things. Lives are in danger here. The time of trouble, such as never before, is about to break upon us as a surprise to the majority. And many will find themselves not ready. Why? Because they are being lulled to a false sense of security, being deceived by men like Ganoune into thinking that the Roman Catholic Church is okay. It's a changed power. It's okay to mingle with them. And his idea of mingling is worshipping with them, participating in the Eucharist, participating in Lent. I showed this in the last presentation, clearly demonstrated. That's the agenda. So friends, please, 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 I pray and I beg you, take these things seriously. Take it to the Lord and fulfill your holy calling, which is to protest Rome and protest those, whether they call themselves Adventists or not, who are working in allegiance with her by bringing us back to Babylon.